Achillies amps. All hand wired. Yeah. Found the Music Junction Chapter booth. All the boys in the Chapter guitars. Actually, do you want to maybe tell us about your amps?
Yeah, well, basically I started 2006, and basically been focusing mainly on doing replicas when I first started, but the direction sort of changed a bit. Now it's more, originals. Hence the actual amp Argos that's actually come out just recently. So it's basically the Argos is J1045 circuit. So you got the grey, the seafoam, and they come in two size heads as well. So anyone that wants to use the smaller size head for a 112, they can obviously purchase that. So basically, if you want to come close, I'll give you a little more details on the amp. So the amp basically is a J1045 and all the switches are in the up position, but then you can tailor the amp to anything that you want. Right. So usually when you'll have like a patch cable or a gig, to get a little bit more gain, you won't even need that. You'll just use the blend switch and that'll combine both channels. You can add a little bit more gain with the edge. You've also got a bright. You can cut off the bright on the second channel. So if you want to, actually make these identical. You've also got a cut switch. The cut switch is actually something that's quite useful in these sort of circuits because the original JTM45 actually had a lot of bass. It was too flubby in the lower end. So you can go through a first stage, we'll take out a couple of dB, but also add a bit of a boost. And then you got another setting on that as well. So it's
Jesus, you thought of everything.
I did. So I basically wanted to make this for a guy that didn't have to take the amp to be modded. It was just basically all the mods you can think of. That's already there. Yeah, and you've got a master switch as well, which is you've got the control on the back. So anyone that feels that having a master in the actual amp can actually sort of affect the tone, which a lot of purists actually believe that. So I've actually made a switch for them where they can actually completely bypass it. And guys that love playing pedals, you got a raw switch, so it literally cuts out the EQ, so you can shape the amp with your own boost pedal. And so
on. There's a lot to unpack.
A lot, yeah, definitely. So I'll turn the amp around, and hopefully there's no leads there.
So this is reasonably new design.
It's really new. So it's just come out. You've got your effects loop, which is quite handy to have with a level control. This is the master that I mentioned before. Your line out with a level control, and also a half power switch. You want to downsize it down to 20 watt.
Nice. Look at the size of those tubes.
Yeah, run some KT66s. We've got classic tone transformers, so they're all hand wired in the USA. So I haven't cut any corners with it.
Jeez.
So it's a premium amp for what you pay for.
Yep. So take us back to 2006. What was the first amp you started? What was the first amp you built?
First amp, like I said, I was doing replicas. So the first amp I ever did was a Tweed Basement.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, Tweed Basement, and that sort of took off with the help of Brett Kingman.
Right. Okay.
He actually bought the second one. So so that kind of kicked off then, and it sort of evolved from that. There was a lot of interest with the Tweeds. So I started to actually branch that out, but at the same time I was making speaker cabinets too. So it wasn't just building amplifiers, but it was.
But the basic principle is that you basically built hand wire everything.
Everything was hand wired.
It's basically custom amp.
That's right. Even the cabinets, they're handmade. There's no mass produced.
It's actual woodworking and.
That's it.
Glue and sweat.
That's it. Yeah.
Cut yourself, your blood's in there.
Just old school. That's what I like. Just old school.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Show us your range. So what do we have?
So we've got a 110 cabinet down right at the far right there.
Nice.
And then we've got another original that I've done, which is pretty much I've taken the Champ circuit, but I've actually modded it to make it sound like a hot-rodded plexi.
Right. Okay.
So it's got instead of having the 8-inch Jensen that it used to have, it's got a 10-inch greenback in it, and it's got a drive channel which is foot switchable. You've got a high and low switch, and also just a bright switch. But you know, being that it's only 8 watt, you can crank it without blowing your speakers, blowing your ears. Sorry. And then the Princeton Reverb is basically a 65, replica. Yeah, I mean, there's certain improvements to it, like the reverb is actually more noticeable on it.
Yep. Okay.
And also the vibrato is actually slower and actually more vibrant.
Okay.
So it's a more usable type of effects on it as well. Everything else is standard. I've actually upgraded the circuit boards inside, so you don't get that that Tweed disease, as they used to call it, where you used to pop and squeal and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so I've eliminated that. Pretty much all the amps that I do are actually made out of it's a material called canvas bakelite, so it's virtually flame-proof type of boards. The next one's a Deluxe, Tweed Deluxe, a 5v3 copy. So that's basically, again, it's the same as you'll probably get back in 57, so there's no difference there. And the one next to it is actually, it's probably a bigger brother, you could call it, because it's if you want to come close, I'll actually show you. It's the same circuit, but what I've done is added a master volume on there.
Oh, nice.
And you've got a half power switch from 14 watt to 28 watt. So when you've got it on a 14 watt, it's a standard 5v3 circuit.
Those are so useful. I remember uni days, carrying around large amps and never being able to crank them up.
Well, that's it.
And never actually learning to play on the amp properly at all.
Right.
Because you could never crank it up.
Yeah, well, that's it. So, I've actually split it does come in a combo, but I've actually split it just to show the options, because, it does carry a heavyweight transformer. It's probably the same transformer that the Tweed Basement has. So there's a bit of weight in it, but, to be split makes it a little bit more convenient. The other one I've got here is a 410 Argos. So it's just to complement that amp there. So it's just, if you want to downsize from a 412.
Yeah, so that's a Marshall type.
That's the JTN 45. That's the Argos 40 watt, which is pretty much what I showed you up there. Yep. And the other cab I've got here is a 212 Typhon, and that's a vertical slant.
I do like the look of that.
It's a fantastic combination.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. So and the other option I've got here is a Deluxe Reverb, and that's based on the AB763 circuit.
That's my old faithful.
Yeah, well, that's probably the best recording amp you can probably buy, and especially to buy in original condition, without any issues. Well, good luck to you. But the other option is to buy this.
Oh look, in the little I've heard of this already. Bloody impressed. Sort of half thinking, why would you go?
Well, that's it. That's it.
A second-hand one when it's got to be old, it's aged. You have no idea what conditions.
Well, that's it.
You get it completely hardwired.
Exactly. I mean, it's there to be offered, and I've offered it to Australians because, and to the rest of the world, because it's really hard to find an original 65 in a good nick condition, and when you do, you kind of feel bad taking it out to a gig, in case it gets stolen or the cost and maintenance that you have to go through it. So I'll take you through this other one as well. So this is basically a 412 cab. It's slightly different to what you buy from a Marshall 412 cabinet, but it's got the same aesthetics to make it look the same. But it's a good combination with the head itself. And then I've got the Nemesis 112. It's an open back, so it's slightly different than your usual. So basically what this is, it actually makes it sound like it's a closed back, but it's not. So,
You got the entire.
I do. I've covered the range.
Covered the entire everything, every amp that you could think of that you want.
Definitely. I've covered the range. But this one here, what I've actually done is kind of slightly modded it, and I'll show you the major mod to it. But it usually comes with the 210. But what I've done is I've added a 112 and a 110. Just to add a little bit more bass response to it. So pretty much all the blackface amps that I actually have, they come with that outlet there.
Right. Okay.
So it's just nifty to have at a gig. You can just plug your pedal board to it,
straight into
or
it.
anything else. Exactly. Or daisy chain another amp. So
why didn't anyone else think of that?
Yeah, well, funny you say that because they used to have that in the States. Yeah.
Right, okay. And
but not with the export models, so you know, the Aussies aren't really aware of it. So.
That just blew my mind. So the one thing you don't have on the floor, but I think you have, I've seen on your website, is the twin replicas.
The Twin Reverb?
Twin Reverb.
Yes.
Yeah. So you do that as well?
I do that as well, yeah. I do also the Super Reverb as well.
Right, okay.
Which is obviously not here. But I think the major popular ones are...
So basically everything?
Everything, yeah.
Everything in Fender, pretty much all the important things in Marshall.
Well, that's it. The ones you can't get anymore, that, you know, people are paying through, you know, a lot of money to buy.
Look, thank you so much for taking us through that. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to get my hands on one of these once we get back.
Do you have more guitars than most people have pairs of jeans? Do you live in the fear that your other half will discover your graveyard of empty guitar cases only to find that some of them aren't really empty? If so, click here to subscribe to Gas TV. We're here to help with your addiction.